How do we build that confidence in ourselves when all we hear is that negative feedback, though? And that it's going to happen. We can distance ourselves, but we keep hearing it. How do we then say, okay, I'm not going to listen to this, but it really affects me and it hurts me?
Yes.
How do you then say, all right, I'm going to hear it every day or every week. It's going to come my way no matter what I do. But psychologically, internally, what are the tools or the skills we can acquire to develop that belief?
First thing I always say is you got to take yourself back to any time in your past career or even current career and remind yourself of all the things that you're good at, all the accomplishments.
Celebrate your wins.
Amen. Right. Here's is what, man, I'm a tall, handsome, brown man.
Yeah.
Right. You know what? I'm really good in math. I look good in white dress shirts. Whatever those things are. Remember, Ivan, you were the first person to get your PhD before the age of 30. Whatever those things are. And it's not enough just to tell yourself. You got to write it down. When I took that job as an AD, even when as job as a vice president, self-doubt comes in. There's enough people I've
never done this before.
Yes.
Why should I be in this position?
You only got the job because he's black. You only got the job because you're a woman. Whatever it is, there's all people that are going to be coming at you. And if you're not careful, you'll start to take on those thoughts. And then those thoughts will influence your belief system. And that belief system will then influence your actions. And you'll start messing up. And it's this self-fulfilling prophecy. So stop that thought. Put something down on paper. You'll hear me speak about a self-confidence letter, a letter you write to yourself.
Yeah.
Dear Lewis, congratulations on building your business. You set a goal and you accomplished it. I was whatever it is, write, and it's your personal brag sheet to yourself. When I became an AD, I had to read that probably, I kid you not, 2 weeks straight. And this isn't about ego.
Wow.
This isn't about, you're telling everybody how good you are. No, this is your personal brag sheet. And I equate this to, you remember when you were at a track and field meet and you're a kid, there's some kids that put their medals on and they walk around the track and field, first place. And then there's the person who takes their medal and puts it in their bag. But when they get home at night, they put it on and they're looking at the mirror like, yes. Whatever that is, that's the difference about a self-confidence letter.
Interesting. Self-confidence letter or a letter to yourself. We call this rainy day notes from an exercise that I've been through where it's like, write yourself a letter that when you're going through something challenging, you open it up.
I love
and you
that.
remind yourself of your gift, how much you matter, the contribution you've made in your life, your family, your friends, things like that.
Yeah.
Or you could get a group of friends to write letters to you that you seal and you open up when you need some inspiration or motivation.
I love it. There's a researcher by the name of Sonia Lubermowski, and she speaks about taking a gratitude, taking a letter and writing it to one of your friends, a gratitude letter to your friends, telling them of all the things you appreciate in them and how that builds your happiness and your optimism and your confidence. Not just in the moment, but even when they come back 30 days later, it's even higher than in the moment.
Yeah.
Right. And so those are the things you need to think about is, okay, sometimes we think about just a letter to ourselves, but if you can share that happiness and genuine praise with others, it also boosts your own happiness and optimism.
Why is that? When we express gratitude or appreciation towards others, it increases our happiness.
What they say, the science of it says it releases dopamine, right? And then when dopamine comes in it's the I'll say the endorphin, the happiness chemical. And the more dopamine in there, the better you feel. Unfortunately, as you get older, dopamine gets down in your body.
Really?
Yes.
And just naturally?
Naturally
so you have to
goes down.
actively build it.
Yeah. You always wonder, why grumpy old man? What is I'm getting to be the grumpy old man.
Really?
I got to get my dopamine up. So you got exercise.
It's a chemical thing where it's like testosterone or something else.
Exactly.
Like, the older you get, you start losing it.
Yes.
Wow.
I feel it coming on.
You already feel grumpy?
I already am you know what? I'm like, you crazy whippersnipper, man. I got less patience. I feel it's like,
really?
I'm becoming that. Am I Sanford and Son? Is that what's happening?
Wow.
You're not old enough to know even who Red. Are you old enough to know who Red Fox is? Sanford and Son.
Sanford and Son, yes.
Oh, old junk man. Okay, just checking. Yeah.
So it's interesting. So this is something you really got to cultivate. I interviewed Dr. Lori Santos on, and she's got the Happiness Lab. She's I think it's one of the most popular classes at Yale.
Yale, yeah.
And I asked her, I go, what are the, because she was talking about gratitude as one of the key factors of happiness. And I go, you're talking like a self-help personal development person now,
Like a
with,
guru.
with no science backing anything, just saying be grateful and express gratitude and appreciation. She's like, this science is proving that that is true. The more you express gratitude, the happier you'll become. The more you do for others and contribute to others, the happier you become.
The science of, and not only just from feeling good and happiness, but the science also then links that to performance. And don't quote me on the numbers, but it's related to your creativity output, right? I think the same Lou Bermowski, the same study she did, I think you're 19% more productive. Analytic problem solving, you're 29% quicker to solve complex problems. And here's the big one.
When you're what? In
When you're
gratitude?
happier, when you express gratitude, when you use positive statements of affirmation to yourself. The big one, you increase your revenue by 36% if you use 3 statements of happiness, personal affirmations.
No way.
Sonia Lubermowski, 2006, Harvard study.
Wow. So if you do, how are you going to increase your income?
3 affirmations, 3 positive statements of gratitude, 3 expressions of hope, warmth, joy. That is what showed. Yeah.
Wow. About yourself, about
Either yourself or others.
oh, interesting.
Right?
Now, what if you're saying something about yourself, but you're really lying?
This is
You talk about this too. It's like, is it the science of lying to yourself? How do you say something like, I'm a great individual, when you're like, actually, I haven't been a great individual. I've been bad, treating people bad. I haven't been showing up on time, whatever it is.
Yeah. And so this is an interesting one.
The lying self-talk that hurts you.
It's hard to say because what might be a lie to me may not be a lie to you. I'll tell you a story. I had a guy, his name is Kyle, who made my soccer team, and he believed that he was the greatest guy. I'm like, I'm gonna make this team. That guy showed up and he had like a foot like a donkey, right? And I remember seeing him come onto my team, and I'd just taken over this team at Ryerson. I was like, oh, he's a black guy from Jamaica. He's gonna be fast. I was so happy. I was never so disappointed.
Wow.
Right? And that guy was gonna be an equipment manager.
At best.
Yeah, at best. Fast forward 4 or 5 years, this guy became the captain of my team, an All-Canadian, and the starter on my first ever team that went to the national championships. He had no business believing that he was good enough to make this team. I mean, I coached at this championship, that world championship, Olympic World Cup qualifier. So maybe I'm not the one to judge what is a lie. But I will tell you, if you think you're gonna fly, I'm gonna be $1 billion, I'm gonna be $1 million. I will tell you, it's not the statement that really sets you up. It's the fact that people then start putting into their psychological mindset steps to move them in that direction. Whatever those little steps are, they stop feeling helpless and unable to affect their own destiny and start moving in the right direction. And that's where the impact happens.
That's an interesting thought, because you might look at someone like Jeff Bezos, who's like, I'm going to build $1 trillion company, when he'd never done anything close to it. Well, you might have laughed at him, but even though he was lying to himself in the moment, he didn't have that, but he was setting himself up to create that and to become the person he needed to become, the leader, the man, the human, to develop the skills to potentially do that one day.
Yeah.
Is that right? Or like, Tesla with Elon Musk, or sending rockets out into space and all these different things.
I can't imagine, and I'm going to ask you for my own, let's turn the tables. When you were sitting on your sister's sofa, what were you thinking when it started to germinate? When did the seeds start to germinate?
I started to really think of, I don't have anything right now, and I don't have the skills, the confidence to go do the things I want to do, the big dreams.
Yeah.
And so I said to myself, I'm going to go face all those fears and overcome all those doubts by doing them, by acquiring those skills, so that I can then go out and accomplish my dreams. Because I knew in order to have the dreams come true, I had to overcome a lot of challenges myself.
Did you have the dreams though?
I had a lot of big dreams.
But you weren't articulating them.
I had very specific dreams. Yeah. Very specific big
people
dreams.
must have thought you were crazy. Like you were
People thought I
lying.
was crazy,
Like you were sitting, you didn't even have.
My family was like, "Go get a job."
You ain't got 2 shoes to rub together, right?
Yeah.
So,
but I believed it, and that's all that matters, really, for me.
Preach.
And I think, and I say this a lot to people, that it doesn't matter if the world believes that and you probably had a lot of great athletes as well, who you were like, you're amazing, you're the best, you can be so great, but they didn't believe it themselves. And it didn't matter if you and every other player thought they were incredible. If they didn't believe it, they were going to be subpar. And the reverse is, it doesn't matter if everyone else is against you or doesn't think that you have the skills. If you believe it, you can make it come true, which I think is unbelievable.
I will tell you there's two factors I've always seen that derail a young athlete or a young professional's career. Number one is their self-doubt, right? Their inability to believe in themselves. And interestingly enough, number two is the people that they have surrounded themselves with that become distractions that take them away from their goals. Over and over and over again. They fall into the wrong crowd, they get with the wrong partner, the wrong
advice.
Yes.
I think of Maurice Claret. I don't know if you know who he is.
Yes.
I'm from Ohio, and so we're the same age. And so when he was a freshman and they won the national championship, and he was like this all-star running back, it was like, this is the chosen one. He's going to do unbelievable things. But then he was surrounding himself with the wrong people who got him into the wrong things and influenced and persuaded him to do bad things, to take the wrong steps. And that sent him to jail, and he never got in the NFL. And there was so much talent that could have been.
It was such a shame. I remember that story quite vividly when he declared.
Yep.
Yes,
Early.
Didn't the NFL change the rules to make sure that never happened again?
Yeah. And he, and so it goes to show that being around the wrong people could influence you and potentially set you up in the wrong ways. So how do we make sure that we get out of that when we're such social creatures that we don't want to hurt people's feelings, that it's hard to go meet new people. You know, this is your comfort zone. These are your boys from the past. Like, they've been with you. How do we get out of that and say, hey guys, like, I'm gonna go do this thing over here instead?
Oh, I wish I could give you the gospel on that, because that is harder to do than what I'm gonna say. But here's where I always believe, and every time I have not done this, I have faltered. We all have that little tiny voice in our head. Whenever I don't listen to that little tiny voice in my head, I falter. And to me, that tiny little voice is, you know, I don't know, I'm gonna now use some voodoo language. You know, you got your head voice and you got your heart voice. And it's hard to, whenever I make a decision purely logically, I always am bitter, right? If I buy the cheap car instead of the one I want, if I do like the practical decision instead of the emotional one, I'm always bitter. And then you got this little heart that's sitting there, that little self-conscious piece that's telling you when you're going south. I don't know if it's your crap detector or your holy smoke detector. There's no science behind this, but any time I don't listen to that voice, when I fall off my values and my principles, I go south. And it's cost me money, it's cost me friendships, it's cost me opportunities.
How do you determine what your values and principles are when you're not sure?
It's a good question. I'm going to walk you through a little exercise.
Yes.
Do we have time for it?
Sure.
All right. I'm going to ask you, and we'll do it together. I call it my purpose exercise. In the last 18 months, what's the most important decision you've made? I'll do mine, right? And we'll share it for 30 seconds. In the last 18 months, you know, I got to be careful with this one, but I've made a decision, right, to take the vice president's job at Dalhousie University. I was the king of my fiefdom. I had all the freedom, all the things I want. And I made a decision to take that job. Boom.
Decision I made was to get into a relationship. Yeah, a new relationship in the last 18 months, yeah.
You got now 7 words, only 7, to tell me why you made that decision. And so I could be nice and fluffy. It was time for a new challenge, 7 words. I could say, I had outgrown the job, right? I was bored, whatever it is, but 7 words.
She made me a better version of myself.
Ooh, nicely done.
I don't know if that was 7, but...
Yeah, that's pretty close. Why her? So for me, why this job, right? People told me I couldn't do it. The one word, and it's got to be a value, the challenge, right? The challenge.
One word?
Yeah.
Why her? Vision.
Right?
5 years ago, I had done a guided visualization of the dream person I wanted to be with.
Yeah.
And she was the image of that vision.
So now we've just found 2 values, right? For one of my values is challenge. One of your values is growth, vision, whatever that word is. You saw it. And so when you start asking yourselves these questions, what's the most important decision you made in work? What's the most important decision you've made in your family? What's the most important decision you did for yourself? Right? What's the most important decision you make when taking on a conflict? Those help. That's the exercise I do.
You create a list of your values.
To help me find my North Stars.
Interesting.
And whenever those things are in alignment, you'll hear Daniel Pink talks about this, transcendent purpose. Whenever those things are in alignment, happiness, confidence, success, performance goes up. When they're not, sick days go up, disease goes up, conflict arises.
Poor choices, yeah.
Right? And so those are the things you need to think about. Now, that's the exercise I use, but I find it very, very helpful.
Wow. So back to this science of lying. So how do we lie to ourselves in a positive way to set ourselves up for success or accomplishing our dreams? If I've been doubting myself for a long time, and I've got no money, and I've got no skills, and flunked out of college, whatever it is, but I got this big dream, and I'm going to do this thing. Like, is that actually realistic to say those things? Or how do I then use that dream and that image in my mind of what I want to create, what I'm going to become? How do I then apply that into life to actually making it come true when it seems so far away?
I love this. So I will say this. Everybody's dreams are lies because they don't exist, right? Everybody's dreams are they're just making that up. That's why they're dreams. And so the difference, though, between people who are successful or not is how they choose to pursue those dreams. So let's just say I had a dream to become an Olympian. I always, in my mind, picture that dream on the top of a staircase.
Yes.
And I have these series of steps that go down. And every step represents a quantifiable SMART goal that I'm going to put on there. Right? So let's say I've got a dream.
Speaking my language, because I would frame my dreams and goals.
100%. So I'm going to get out of bed every day and exercise for 30 minutes. I'm going to get out of bed.
That's step one.
Exactly.
Wow.
What's step two? I'm going to get out of bed every day, right? And I'm going to find myself a coach. That is from the I love what you did. When you went to New York City, same thing Bruce Jenner did. When he decided he wanted to go to the Olympics, he found out where the best people were that were training for the decathlon. He went to San Diego and he started training with them. Step number 3, I'm going to find the best person in my field and I'm going to be relentless and pursue them and train with them. If that means I got to pick up their shoes, if that means I got to clean their toilet, whatever that is.
Wow.
And that is, you start putting those steps in there. Now, when you put those steps in, be like, oh, guys, success came. No, they're going to say, no, hell no. Just like they said to you, what are you doing here, gringo? You don't belong here. This is Eastern European handball.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? But now you got to say, stop. Don't let that come in. That's where you use the power of affirmations. Stop. We talk in psychology about this thing called centering. Physical actions that you'll see athletes do.
Like a trigger, like a snap of a rubber band.
Stop the negative thought.
A slap in the face, whatever it is, right?
Replace, deep breath in. You got this.
Yeah.
Right? Whatever that is. Whatever it is, because you're going to be on your first step. I didn't get up today. You start again tomorrow.
So you need that mantra or positive affirmation or stopping process and then a mantra, right?
Yes.
So you got to stop and add a positive affirmation.
Make it automatic and recognize that it's a skill. Get your 3. You got this. I work harder than anybody. Nobody outworks me. I can learn everything. And whatever it is, get it ready. And then figure out what your trigger is going to be. Don't mix it all up. Get your trigger. A friend of mine was, when he was trying to quit smoking, he put it all, his hands was always in there because he always jingled coins. Another person, always their keychain, shake, shake. And then it becomes automatic. And that's where you want it to be. I got this. You can't beat me, cigarettes. No, not today. Whatever that might be. But recognize how important it is to ladder up that step. Because if you put that big dream out there, it becomes so overwhelming. Where am I going to start? Oh my gosh. The tiniest step is the one that moves us towards our goal. The tiniest step.
And then do you celebrate after you reach the next step, or how do you?
You've been studying.
I feel like I've studied a lot of sports psychology just through the practice of sports and then reading a lot of books and interviewing a lot of people, but I always love everyone's take on it. So
this is, I think, a mistake that people make is they don't take a moment to make the celebrations. And so they don't ever get to reward it. I just tweeted the other day somebody who graduated from high school, university, and I said, savor the moment. Your person from Yale, she will speak about savoring. That's a big component about happiness. And savoring means live in it, feel it, relish it, embrace it. You know, when sometimes it's cold and you want to just get out in the sun, you just like, and you just feel it. That's savoring.
Yeah.
Pausing, slowing down, engulfing it. It's almost like when something's happening, like pull yourself out and just watch yourself with your friends and appreciate it. When you start asking yourselves these questions, what's the most important decision you made in work? What's the most important decision you've made in your family? What's the most important decision you did for yourself? What's the most important decision you make when taking on a conflict? Whenever those things are in alignment, happiness, confidence, success, performance goes up. When they're not,